Hi everyone and welcome to a new Path of Exile video. I'm Koshido and today I will be presenting you the video guide for my Summon Skeleton Mage build. I've already played the melee version of this build, but I never played the mage version of this build. The gameplay video you are seeing is from K Gaming. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to her video. It's a build guide for 3.16. Feel free to check her out so you can have another point of view for the build. Also, feel free to check out her channel, she's an amazing minion build player. I will be making a separate video for the leveling guide of this build. You can use the same leveling techniques for any minion builds. I'll be talking about step by step on how to upgrade the gems, the passive tree, and I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks to level through the story. Enough talking, let's jump in PoB. The build revolves around the Dead Reckoning, which is a jewel that transforms your skeletons in mage skeletons. They will be making elemental damage, so we are scaling elemental damage. Before getting the Dead Reckoning, which I think it will be 40-50 chaos in the first few days, we will be playing the melee version of this build, so we are playing Summon Skeleton and we are stacking physical damage. This is very similar to the pre-map setup, which is the end of the leveling guide I have. So let's quickly look to the endgame gems for the melee version first. We have Summon Skeletons. You can use Val Summon Skeletons, or you can also try to get a Summon Skeletons level 21 at first. And then is socketed with Multi-Strike, Minion Damage, Impale, Brutality, Melee Physical Damage. If you want, you can swap out Melee Physical Damage for Predator. Predator gives us less damage than Melee Physical Damage, but gives us a new skill which allows us to focus to set a target for our skeletons. It's very useful if you want to target a specific monster with your skeletons. Then we are using Spectres with Minion Life, Mid Shield. We are using Flame Dash as a movement skill. We are using a Carrion Golem to boost our physical damage, socketed with Maim, Feeding Frenzy. We are using Assassin's Mark as Curse. We are using Dread Banner linked with Generosity. We are using Pride and Summon Skitterbots to get more damage. If you want, you can drop Summon Skitterbots. You will be losing some damage, but you can use Determination if you want to feel more tanky. Be careful, if you use Determination, don't link it to Generosity or you will be missing the Determination buffs. We are using Desecrate with Life Tap and Flesh Offerings. If you want, you can use Bone Offering to have some block. I will be covering the block part of the build later when we look at the tree. Lastly, we have a cast 1 damage taken with Immortal Call and increased duration. I really do like the cast 1 damage taken Immortal Call setup. If you don't, you can use Molten Shell instead. You can use self-cast Val Molten Shell. You can use Enduring Cry and maybe Convocation, or you can use any other utility gems you like. With the melee version and a budget gear set, we are still able to output 4 million Shaper DPS, we have 5k life, a good amount of armor, and we are almost at the block and spell block cap. As soon as we get the Dead Reckoning, we should do the switch. So let me go through the endgame setup for Skeleton Mages. We have Summon Skeleton level 21, quality 20, with minion damage, spell eco, increased critical damage. And then for single target, we are using Hypothermia and slower projectiles. For map clearing, we are using Pierce and Volley. If you don't want to switch gems based on the situation, you can eventually use Hypothermia and Pierce and do everything with this setup. For auras, we are using Tempest Shield, Determination, Vitality and Convocation. Vitality, keep it low level based on your max mana. Utility minions, we are using Spectres, Zombie with Minion Life, Animate Guardian. I will be talking about the Animate Guardian a little bit later. If you don't want to use Animate Guardian, you can use Elemental Army instead. We have a Stone Golem with Feeding Frenzy, Zealotry with Generosity, Bone Offering, Desecrate, Life Tap. This goes into a trigger wand. It's very important. Desecrate is before Bone Offering, because when you do the triggers goes from the top to the bottom of the sockets. So in this way it triggers Desecrate first and then Bone Offering. Curse, Sniper's Mark with a Life Tap, Flame Dash as movement spell with Life Tap. I know there are a lot of gems to switch between the two builds. I've made a leveling cheat sheet which contains also the endgame gems setup, so while leveling you can see where you can get which gems. Link in the description. Let's go to the tree part. So here I have two endgame versions, one with max block, one without max block. In the max block version, I'm taking some nodes to help us reach the max block and the max spell block. We are reaching 74 spell block chance, but we can craft spell block on shield eventually later. And the version without max block, we are not taking those nodes. And as you can see, we still have 64% block. Basically, this block chance comes from the shield, the Tempest shield, the Anoint here, a couple of nodes here, and especially Bone Offering. I would be probably going for this version here without investing to the extra point to reach the cap. So I can invest faster in the cluster jewel like this. And then maybe if I see I need more block, I can remove some life nodes and get the max block eventually. If you feel brave enough, you can remove the bone offering and use the flash offering to get more damage and more movement speed. You can also remove this anoint here and get maybe Heart of the Warrior to get more life. You can also remove Tempest Shield and use something like Skitterbots to improve further your damage. But I think in the end game your minions will suffer from the loss of the block, and if they start dying, it will be a problem. The difference between the melee and the mage version in the tree is not that much. We are using Overwhelm with physical damage reduction for the melee version, and for the mage version we are just using the Dead Reckoning here. We are using a budget medium cluster jewel, so these should be easy to gather and to craft eventually. We just need Blessed Rebirth, which minions created recently cannot be damaged. This is very, very strong for our build, and try to get it as soon as possible. When we go further into the end game, we can get large crystal jewels, and we are using Call of the Slaughter, Feasting Fiends, and Renewal. So Feasting Fiends gives us damage, life. Renewal gives us chance to do double damage and minion regen. Call of the Slaughter gives us damage. And then of course we have a medium cluster. This is more endgame focused. We still have Blessed Rebirth because it's super strong. And we also get another renewal to have a chance to do double damage. One last thing to mention, endgame jewels, Fortress Covenant, no brainer, and Quickening Covenant. Try to use these on the cluster jewel because in this way the notable passive in radius are transformed to instead grant minion takes 20 increased damage. This is not affected if this is socketed into a jewel. So we are not getting the malus, we are only getting the bonus. If you want more info regarding the leveling trees, I'm gonna go through them in my leveling build guide. Let's go through the equip. Here I have 3 sets of equipment: entry level, budget, and game. Entry level is the equipment I expect you to have when you kill Kitava and reach maps. It's mostly life and res. Here we have a wound essence craft with minion damage. This is just a normal shield. This is a reanimator helmet. You can craft this. It's also written in the notes used for recipes. Bone Spirit Shield plus Life Flask plus Transmutation Orb equals Life Flask of Animation, which is a Life Flask that heals minions. With that Life Flask and a helmet and an Alteration Orb, you can craft the +1 helmet, which is this one. Then the rest of equipment is just life and res, some stats. The budget gear set, here we have a Convoking Wand with +1 all minion and some minion rolls, and the trigger. The trigger is used for the Desecrate Bone Offering life tap. Always Desecrate on top, remember. Then we have a Shaper shield with recover 5% life on block. Then we have a +3 minion gems bone helmet. Then we have the Flesh Crafter, which is a unique chest that gives our minions energy shield, and while our minions have energy shield, they ignore the monster elemental resistance. This is very, very helpful for our mage skeletons, and this will introduce a problem with our Animate Guardian. I will discuss it later. Then we have Titan Gauntless with minion deals increased damage. You can craft this with the Essence of Fear. Then we have the Alberon's Warpath, is a +1 maximum number of skeletons boots, very helpful. Jade Amulet, we can get +1 maximum number of skeleton with the Elder Influence eventually. Here we have a budget ring, just life, res, and +1 minimum and res charge. Budget Sting and Vice, try to get as much life as you can. You can also roll minion life from the essence, or if you find it from Delve. Then we have Jewel. I've written the tier list of the mods you are looking for. So you're looking for life for yourself first, then increase minion damage or increase minion damage when you use the minion skill, then minion cast or attack speed, and then minion added damage. Cold lightning, it doesn't matter. We are using a Rumi concoction, a very strong flask for helping us with the block. And then I saw earlier the Fortress Covenant, Weakening Covenant, Death Reckoning, and the Cluster Jewels. I also made a endgame gear set. I won't go through it in this video because this gear is something you get after a while you are playing the build. Keep in mind you can also improve this endgame set even further. You can get mirror tier items. It will take you a month probably to reach that point, but you can increase the damage even further. Now let's look at the note section. Here I have a couple of leveling tips, a couple of gems tips, or some gems you can swap out if you don't like the current setup. And here I have the Animate Guardian section. So let's talk a little bit about the Animate Guardian. As you may know, the Animate Guardian provides a lot of utility, a lot of damage for our build, so we want to use it whenever it's possible. But there is a problem. As I mentioned earlier, we are using the Flesh Crafter, which converts 2% of the minion's maximum life to maximum energy shield per 1% chaos resistance they have. This means if our minions have 50% chaos resistance, they have no health and they die. The Animate Guardian starts with 20% chaos res, so if we give him 30% chaos res with the equipment, he will die and you will lose the equipment. To overcome this problem, I have a few solutions. However, I never played a build with an Animate Guardian during the endgame. Also, with the new endgame, we don't really know what kind of damage the enemies are dealing, what kind of mechanics can one hit our Animate Guardian. So take this with a pinch of salt. If you are unsure to use the Animate Guardian, as I mentioned earlier, you can just remove the gem and use Elemental Army instead. Since I will be starting this build, I will make my own test, I will try this solution, and as soon as I have some meaningful information to give you, I'm gonna do an update video. You can also come on twitch.tv/Koshido and check out live what I'm doing. The first endgame set I will be trying is the Kingmaker as a weapon, which gives us Killing Strike. Nearby allies have 45, this is old, is actually 10 fortification stacks, which means 10% damage reduction and also critical strike multiplier. As a helmet, we have a shipper base with nearby enemies take increased elemental damage. I don't know how much pricey this will be, I think a lot this league. Try also to aim for life and elemental resist. Keep in mind this is Scourge, Scourge is a dead league by now. But yeah, around 1 Exalted you can still find them. As a body armor we are using the Doppelganger Guise. This got buffed this league, so now is 30 to 40% less physical and cast damage taken while sane. The Animate Guardian will always be sane with this equipment, and this may be the solution to the chaos res problem. Also, he regenerates 10% life over 1 second when hit while sane. Regarding the boots, we are using the Windscream to get the +1 course. And as a course, we are using random gloves with either temporal chains or maybe better enfeeble. We are not using elemental weakness on gloves because with the Flesh Crafter our minions ignore the monster elemental resistance. This means they treat the enemy's elemental resistance as 0 every time, so elemental weakness will do nothing for us. So we better use either temporal chain or enfeeble to give us some more survivability. As a solution to the chaos res problem, we could use the Oscar gloves. That gives minus chaos res to our Animate Guardian. The problem is that these trigger Assassin's Mark when you hit a rare or unique enemy, which override our marks. So to solve that, we should change our mark to a Curse Aura, and since elemental weakness doesn't work, we have to use temporal chain or enfeeble, maybe with blasphemy, but these overall will reduce our damage by a lot. Another solution to the Chaos Rest problem may be the Mask of the Stitched Demons, which gives us regenerate 1% life per second per 500 maximum energy shield, and our Animate Guardian will have 40% of his max life transformed into energy shield, and also with a chest body armor with an empty prefix, so you can benchcraft gain percent of maximum life as an extra maximum energy shield. This will not convert maximum life to energy shield, it's just as extra. So we will be getting a lot of energy shield, and thanks to the Mask of the Stitched Demons, you will be getting a lot of health regen. The only problem with this combo is that big hit can one-hit our Animate Guardian. Since we don't know the endgame content, the endgame mechanics, we don't really know if there are many mechanics that can one-hit our Animate Guardian, so we still don't know if this is a good combo. So in the PoB, I wrote down some budget gear and some alternative gear you can use for Animate Guardian. Let me go through a quick budget set. So you can use the Dying Breath as weapon that gives increased damage to our allies. You can use the Leercast as helmet that will give us increased damage. We can use the ambush charge to give us life regen to our Animate Guardian and some rest life. And we can use the Victorious Flight as boots to give us movement speed. And also check out the notes for alternative equipments. And again, if you are not convinced, if you are not sure to play the Animate Guardian, just don't use it, use Elemental Army instead, and maybe wait a couple of days so I can reach the point where I can test all these things, and I can tell you if the Animate Guardian can survive or not to the new endgame content. If you look at the PoE Ninja from the past league, you can see this build is played with and without Animate Guardian, so the Animate Guardian is not mandatory, you can still clear everything without the Animate Guardian. And that's the end. If you want more info regarding the leveling part, you can check out my leveling video guide. That guide is well suited for any minion build. You can just level through the pre-map section and then swap to any other minion build. If you have any question, please feel free to leave a comment down below. You can also find me live on Twitch when the league starts at twitch.tv/Kushido. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel, and stay safe, Exile.